Hey guys. Well, yesterday was really funny. Oh, look, you can see there's a sconce light right behind the phone here that's recording, and you can see that in my reflection, the reflection of my glasses. That may answer my question as to whether this new angle is going to be good or not, because that could be kind of distracting. See. Anyway. I'm going to use the same gear as usual. And yesterday's shave, you didn't see it. Most of it, I don't know if any of it came through. I know that at least my haul description came through with the tobacco, the vegan version, the Ace, and the logbook from Noble Otter. And let's see. Oh, and the Chiseled Face Midnight Stag cologne. I was, as you know, I'm getting low on the cologne there because I'm using it all month, and I'm starting to get low. So we're going to keep on going with Chiseled Face Midnight Stag as the soap. This is their OG version. And to top it all off, yesterday was the first episode recording from my new bathroom, or my bathroom in my new house that I have purchased. And what a blessing that has been. The Nacet blade is continuing to be used here. 599 is the count for today's shave. So yeah, it was really funny. The first shave in my new place was not a shave. I shaved, and we'll talk about what I was trying to accomplish in just a little bit. But let's finish off my habitual reciting of all the ingredients here. Taj handle on the Semogue Owners Club brush, and timeless open comb, stainless steel razor in the 68 gap. I'll show you the Nacet blade in there in just a minute. But I guess it's kind of normal in a new place to have little gremlins pop up. The reason that happened, I did put a note in that particular video's comment, my own description of that, and I record via a phone, and I don't do any editing. I don't have time for that because I often record daily. And so it wasn't that there was a chunk that was recorded that I forgot to include in the edit. I push the pause button when I need to pause and take a longer time to rinse my face or clean up gear, stuff that you guys don't need to watch. And then I hit record, resume recording whenever it's time to, get back to talking to you guys. Well, with this particular phone, they have put the stop recording button right under, and it's much larger than the pause or resume recording button. And so it's with my big fingers, it's kind of hard to hit the button the right way. And I also I want to hit it quickly, and I want to do it right, because otherwise you guys are sitting here watching me do this as the camera shakes while I'm trying to tap the right button, But if I hit stop when I'm in the middle of a video, that creates half an hour, 45-minute hassle, because now I've got to go and join the video. To join the video, I have to do it on my computer. To put it on my computer, because these videos sometimes get, pretty big, I have to break it up. I have to break it up into an archive file. This is backstage trivia here. I have to break it up into an archive file, 7-zip usually, and then transfer each piece, because the phone is geared to not deal with huge files and files transfers very well. And so then I have to break it all up into pieces, then transfer all those pieces, usually to a USB drive at least. You used to have to do it by Google Drive. And then reassemble all those pieces on the other side, which fortunately isn't too much of a hassle. And then from that PC, I can upload the video to YouTube. But all that, if I can just hit that pause button correctly on the camera there on the phone, then I don't have to do any of that. So that was the behind the scenes. And the buttons are so close that I was trying to hit the pause, but apparently what happened was I failed to hit the pause and I didn't notice that it wasn't paused. And so there's probably a couple minutes there where I didn't know I was being recorded because I thought it was paused. Probably me rinsing my face, something like that. And then once I was done, and then once I got back to the shave, you probably see me reach up and then go, and I'm thinking I'm hitting the resume button. But that's right before the shave, and what I actually was doing was hitting the pause button, because it is the same button, but it was doing the pause action. And so then I did pretty much the shave in a whole little several minute stretch. And then at the end of the shave, I go to pause so that I can clean up all my gear off camera, and I noticed that, it's not running, because I wish it would. I mean, I don't need it to blink, but I wish that there was a better, just a tiny little red dot way up here on the screen is what tells me it's recording. I wish it was a little more obvious to me, and so that if I was recording and I was doing this kind of thing, then it would, I should always see a blinking red light right there. That's not, anyway. That's enough behind the scenes knowledge, right? But anyway, that's why it happened. I knew that by the end of the shave, I knew something had not been recorded. I was hoping it was just a small part, but no, it was actually the whole shave. What did I do during that shave? Well, my approach was this. I was going to do a bowl lather. I was going to load from the soap and load about 10 swirls or so. I did end up having to go back because I loaded for 10 swirls with a medium wet brush. I then started a little bit of agitation in the bowl. And then my goal was, since this base works really well with the slurry lather method, better than it actually works with a normal bowl lathering method, which is my preferred way of doing it. Since the difference is so great between my experience of the lather, I thought, well, what if there's some kind of hybrid thing? Maybe it likes having the water all up front to maybe combine with the lather, and in the early stages, instead of being so dry and airy like a lot of the coconut oil soaps can do. And so my theory was, let's test out lots of water up front. Almost all the water I think I might be using during the shave. It turns out that I put in too much. I put in 33 approximately milliliters of water because I'd actually used that much before. But for the amount of loading that I did, that seemed to be too much. And so I had to go back to the tub for just maybe 6 more swirls, so 16 swirls. And that ended up giving me plenty of good lather. And this again with the Chiseled Face OG base, OG beef tallow base. It was a kind of lather that looked really good. It looked creamy, but what happened was inside it was just too airy and postured up and structured. And no, I have also tried it without bowls that have these ridges, and it does the same thing. It's just as airy, and I think that may be why years ago our shaving communities and the artisans started moving away from that model, because of that kind of lather, perhaps. So let's try to duplicate that again, that method. But this time we'll learn from it a little bit, not quite do as much water. So I'm going to fill up my jigger to what I think I might need. We'll do the maybe 25 milliliters of water instead. We'll still stick with the 10 swirls because with the 16, I ended up with plenty of lather. So let's just, now, and I'm going to press pause now. See, when I press pause, something should change in the button. With the Android that I have here, it's a red circle with a white square in the middle, and that's the stop button. And then right above it is a little, almost like a gravestone type rounded shape with the pause or the play icon in the middle. And that's the only thing that changes between pause and play. I mean, make something grayed out, or, you know, if I'm on pause mode, that would be nice. So, oh well. One of the things I was telling you guys yesterday that I guess didn't transfer was that I've got 3 doors here, because this is one of those bathrooms that leads into the toilet area that way through that door. I'll be able to put maybe a little shelf unit in that corner right there to hold some shaving gear. I love having certain gear on hand as I'm talking about different things. Like right now I'm using a boar brush, but if something pops into my head to tell you guys something about a badger, it's nice to reach back and grab a badger just to give you a something to look at to associate with the words. Something I'm not used to here is a towel rack. There's a towel rack right here, so my Lancaster towel is able to have a home right there waiting for me. So that's good. And then I have room on there for a hand towel for maybe brush drying, that kind of thing at the end of the shave. So those are some welcome changes. And I thought episode I did a little bit ago was on Geo Fatboy. And I think I remember seeing on the back, on his background, he had a door, and he had, and I think I might do this same thing. He had one of those hanging door organizers that had pockets for shoes, I think. Now, maybe it was for other products or something, but, you know, it had little pockets. And so he was able to put maybe shaving soaps or razors. I don't know quite what he had on there. But I think that's pretty good use of space. And so I might do that as well. I also could hang those hooks that go over the door and then come. And so then I could have, you know, towels or whatever hanging there too. So who knows what I'll do. Right. I got my face wet. I went down to fill up this jigger with 40 milliliters, and it's so dim down there that I went and got a desk light. At the Dollar Tree here in America, these LED lights, this is one of them that was there years ago. They've done various, and these are only $1. It's crazy. I don't know if some factory was making them and had an overrun, but they work well and they last for years. And I mean, they're LED. So I definitely picked up my share of them. And so right now, this, just like a desk light might illuminate the surface of your desk, at least now I can see to fill up my jigger. It's illuminating my sink area, which is nice. So we've got that ready. Oh, you know what? This is 40. And let's just go ahead and start with 40 and subtract if we want to know that info. Face is wet. Let's do the load. And then I could have angled that desk lamp up to give me more light up here, couldn't I? Do a little bit of shaking. Medium wet, I would guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to just do 10. Okay. Let's let that extra water drip down into this lather bowl there. Soap aside. And why don't we do it from the very beginning? I'm not even going to work this up at all. Maybe more water will help it not to structure up quite so much. Let's start with 25 milliliters of water. There we go. Oh, almost forgot. Show you the Nacet blade. Is it the right way out now this time? Yeah. Oh, and I can use the reflection there to maybe help you to see it. Down here in this corner, you can see the blade deformation that has been there for about almost 400 uses. And then the etchings on the blade. I still have yet to go back in the videos and try to find where I flipped the blade unintentionally and used it for several shaves. Need to do that. Okay, see, if I point my desk lamp up a little bit, but unfortunately, a lot of times the light coming from the bottom is not a very flattering thing, right? Also, having a desk lamp on your sink has certain hazards with the water flow and all that, so I'm going to be wise about that. Show you the splash and the cologne that we're going to be using. As you can see, the splash is getting less and less. Will it make it to the end of the month? I know the EDT will, because you use so little per squirt. But I do have a backup that I ordered a year or two ago, or bought from somebody. All right, now we can go. So what I did was, instead, the first broadcast, I was using my little cheapo hang-on things, which worked well when I had that pivoting mirror at my other location. This mirror is not that way. It's a frame. And so as I was hanging this on the top of the frame, it was tilting this way. And with the heavy phone, this joint did not have enough strength to kind of angle back up. And so that's why much of that video had my head cut off like that. All right. So let's see what happens here. We've got 25 milliliters of water in the bowl. We had 10 seconds of swirls. In the past, a 10-second load, maybe 4 days ago, would give me plenty of lather, 5 to 7 passes. So I'm confident that I have enough soap on the brush. Problem yesterday was I just added too much water. Note also that the brush is medium wet. Yeah, good. This is not liquidy anymore, but it is quite bubbly. That's okay. We'll work the bubbles down. All it takes is some elbow grease. Now, if I take my lamp, I want to angle it up, but if I angle it up to the ceiling, or maybe bounce it off the wall over here, I guess they did some painting in here or something, or drywall work, because the dust is still on this door. I'm going to have to wipe that off. Okay, so does that help any? Kind of illuminates this side of the room a little bit, and I guess this side of me. But I have a little crevices on my face there that's not doing any favors to. But you definitely are not tuning into my channel for beauty tips. From the amount of lather I'm looking at, it looks like it'll be plenty to do the shave, but not an excessive amount. So it could be perfect, or it could be lacking just a bit. One of the things that I have done is a method where I am loading, and the soap is the second stage of the, or the second priority in terms of mixing. I shaved enough with certain soaps, like Sterling, for instance. I had a good run with that one. Obviously, this one could be done this way because I've done it long enough, where I put in the amount of water I wanted to use, because over a good long run of usages, I discovered, hey, I'm always using 18 milliliters of soap, or between 15 and 20 milliliters of soap, something like that. I think one time it was about 20 to 21 milliliters was just consistently what I was using. And so I thought one shortcut could be the water is what really determines how much lather you end up with. And so what if I started with the lather, the water, instead of the soap? And I'll add that 20 milliliters first. And then if it's too wet, then that means I haven't loaded enough soap into my brush. I'll go back to the tub for a couple of swirls and then back to the lather. And so then the water amount in the lather is that stable, is the sun in our galaxy. And the earth going around, that is the soap amount. And so if it's too wet, then I know that we need more soap. If it's too dry, then I know that I have overloaded the soap a little bit more than I really need. Of course, I could tweak the water after that point. Now look at this. This is interesting. The lather has just died. Maybe what has happened here is that that was just too much water. You saw that posture up. Well, what's happening? What's also happening is because it has died, because that it's closer to an emulsion now, and the bubbling and posturing and all that has broken down. So in a way, that's good, because that is what's going to happen during the shave anyway, and I wouldn't be experiencing a very good lather. So obviously, what I need to do now. And when I go back to the tub for a little more soap, I like to do kind of a raking motion a little bit. The one disadvantage to that water method where you might be going back to the soap is you are going back to the soap, especially if you've already shaven, with some stubble maybe, potentially, in your brush. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't really notice anything. I'm not going to the point where I'm mixing up any kind of product there. But let's just see if those 6 swirls wake up this very wet, milky lather here. Okay, now it's bubbling up, kind of like before. Sometimes trial and error means a little bit longer of a shave. So it's good to have something like the slurry lather if you're in a hurry. Get it done in about 9 minutes without too much fuss, or less. Yeah, see, look now, instead of that little wet mix, got something that much more resembles a lather. It's still very light and airy though. So this is interesting. We saw that come up, still bubbly and light and airy, but then I guess a lot of the bubbles popped, and then it settled back down into a really wet slurry. You know what? This still feels a little bit light to me. Let's go back to the tub for just a few more swirls. Yeah, the light in here. I need to maybe add some more so that you guys can see the lather better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a little over 20 swirls here. And so this should thicken up the lather. Volume is definitely increasing. So then tomorrow, if I want to keep up with this experiment, sounds like 25 is not the amount of water to go with. Or I can start with less water in my brush, give it some more shakes. You know, you can pick which metric you want to change. Don't want to change too many at once. There we go. Looks a little bit less airy now. Let's try this. Get my face wet. You know, one good thing about not pausing you guys too many times, like for rinses. If I do a quick rinse, I don't think it's too inconvenient for you guys. But then if I make some kind of mistake, I'm less likely to make some kind of button pushing mistake. But on the other hand, if I do make a button pushing mistake, it affects the whole video instead of maybe pass number one. So that's kind of tricky. All right, let's see how this lather is. I now see a lot of volume, and so I definitely think this is going to be plenty to get the job done. Also in this shave, let's think about how the brush is feeling. Maybe I'm use number in the high 120s now, I think. Details of the video will have it exactly. This feels good here. It is not, the brush is changing, but it changes slowly. Semogues, they change slowly. They do get to a comfortable point kind of quickly, but then not a lot of the tips have split. And so to really get to that nirvana stage, you still have to wait a while. And that's why I've engaged the hairdryer and help things out. But it no longer feels kind of stringy and ropey, not wiry, but it's definitely starting to feel like more tips are splitting, and it's softer and more luxurious to use. And that is changing over time, but it is slow. So I have to try to remember how, I actually remember my descriptions from last year, that sort of thing. I remember using ropey and wiry a little bit, and that's just not the case anymore, so that's cool. And I think I was telling you guys on the part you didn't see last time, I actually have to stoop down this low for me to see my mirror. How's the residual? Yeah, see, that residual slickness is not very high. That's not all that great. That is definitely a place where you want to relather any areas that you revisit. And the slurry lather is definitely better in that regard. We are recording. I got it all. Okay. A little splash of water. Now for lathering, I can easily use my phone's screen. Don't have to stoop over. So this lather does feel very good on my face. It feels good in my brush. But that first pass, it was not nearly as protective as it could be if it was a better base, or if the slurry lather method was used, which I believe has power, because it lays down a little bit of soap on your face, a very light layer, and then it has all that water backing it up, and it gradually builds in a way that somehow makes it more protective and slick. All right. Okay, how is that? See, that's still, there's no slickness there. I've got a lever down there, so I'm having to get used to that instead of just the hot and cold individual knobs that I had before. All right, I think we're good. A little quick splash. Small sink down there. Be nice to have a little bit bigger one. But this just means the counter is going to get a little bit more wet. That's all. But yeah, right now the feel, this is terrific. This is a luxury kind of feel. And I'm talking about the brush tips as well as the lather. Lather's working really well with it. And I think it looks good on my face, but with no residual slickness. I mean, and I think what a lot of guys have dealt with in the past, they didn't have that residual slickness anyway, and so they were just kind of used to not having it. Just relather in an area where you need, right? But we've our soap formulations in the last decade or two have really changed, and it's quite an upgrade. So you're able to have that kind of slickness that sticks around. Now, you had it before with the better soaps, like the fine accoutrements, tobacco, the tallow version. Smelled like your grandma's purse, tobacco did, but man, it performed. I'm so curious to get in and look at the one I got from Maggard here recently. What I should have done, when Tobacco first announced that they were going to make a different base, I should have just gotten on Amazon or whatever and bought one. And if I ended up getting old stock that was the tallow that they hadn't gotten rid of yet, then winner, right? Or if I get the vegan, then I'd have a new puck, a new formulation to try out. And I thought about that. But the reason I didn't is I am using tobacco up so slowly. I have a backup of tobacco. I already have one backup puck, maybe even two, of the tallow formulation. And I'm using my first puck up just really slowly because it lasts a long time and I don't use it a lot. That's why I didn't make a purchase right away. And that's probably a wise move. All right, but people are just asking a lot of questions lately, especially, and so that got my curiosity up, so I purchased. All right, now I'm going to pause you while I get a good rinse after that pass. All right. 20, a little over 20 swirls, and I did 3 passes. And I've still got, this is plenty enough lather for maybe even 3 more passes. So that's all right. Hey, I also brought this little Tic Tac container, right? Well, I think that this is a pretty good size for blades. You could pick yourself out. Shoot, you could probably you might be able to fit 20 blades in there because they're so thin. But even if you just put a couple in there, the envelopes that the blades are in would not be able to unfold. And so the blade would stay protected. And so this might be a good way to transport blades when you're traveling because it's pretty good size. It's convenient. You can get it at different stores. And so just an idea that I had there in case you already don't have some kind of blade storage device. I know there are little Altoids tins out there that may be about the exact size of a blade. But if you can't find any of those, then maybe a little Tic Tac container could be advantageous. All right, I'm going to cap up the soap. So, $5.99. We did record it this time, so that's good. Let's rinse out my razor. We only use the water that I told you, the 25 milliliters. Let's do the splash. The light for the sconce there is causing some glare issues on product labels and that kind of thing. So that may be a reason to change things, maybe. Maybe to more of a frosted bulb instead of the, looks like an LED bulb, but I can almost see the filament. So it's kind of a piercing type of light. And honestly, it may be worth bumping up the to a brighter bulb too. But a lot of these LED bulbs don't have the light surface on the bottom half of the bulb, and so that's why my sink was so dim, because it was below the sideline of the bulbs. But this desk lamp is actually working pretty well. Okay, so the razor's good. I'll clean up the bowl in just a second. Let's do the splash. So what did I learn about that method? Probably use even less water than the 25, maybe 20. But it was interesting. It was really interesting to see the lather die, because it was just postured up. It was all air. And so when the air had a chance to leave, it went from like this to like this. And I hadn't seen a lather do that before. And so maybe when people are using bore brushes and things, they talk about the lather getting eaten and the lather dying. And sometimes that is attributed to the newness of a bore, where you really need to go back to the soap before each pass. But I can see how it could happen in this scenario as well, if you have this type of base that has a tendency to gather too much air and die. So, but all it took to wake it up and get it into a more true emulsion was a little bit more soap. So there we go. I think that's it, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Finally, we get a complete shave. It may be my second shave in this house for you guys, but it's the first one you got to see. And it's number $5.99, so that's pretty neat. Tomorrow's 600. I don't think I'll do a live shave like I did for the 500th use, because my schedule is really crazy with moving. Even though I'm here, oh man, things are a mess, and I've got things like registering cars. That's what I was doing yesterday. I'm trading out my car, and I was doing paperwork for that. So just a lot of stuff on my to-do list. I've got to go make some pineapple salsa today for my small group meeting tonight. My friend is bringing a pork tenderloin, and I'm bringing the pineapple salsa. So that'll be fun to put together. That's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.